Self-Reliance by Ralph Waldo Emerson, 1841, public domain. Man is his own star, and the soul that can render an honest and a perfect man commands all light, all influence, all fate. Nothing to him falls early or too late. Our acts our angels are, or good or ill, our fatal shadows that walk by us still. Each person is their own guiding light. Live truthfully, and your actions shape your destiny. Introduction. I read the other day some verses written by an eminent painter which were original and not conventional. The soul always hears an admonition in such lines, let the subject be what it may. The sentiment they instill is of more value than any thought they may contain. When someone creates from genuine inspiration, rather than imitation, we feel it deep inside. Authentic expression awakens something in us beyond mere ideas. It stirs the soul. To believe your own thought, to believe that what is true for you in your private heart is true for all men, that is genius. True genius is having faith in your own perception, trusting that what feels real and honest in you has universal meaning. Speak your latent conviction, and it shall be the universal sense. For the inmost in due time becomes the outmost, and our first thought is rendered back to us by the trumpets of the last judgment. When you speak your deepest truth, it eventually becomes recognized by everyone. What's hidden within will one day be revealed to the world. Familiar as the voice of the mind is to each, the highest merit we ascribe to Moses, Plato, and Milton is that they set at naught books and traditions and spoke not what men, but what they thought. The greatest minds are remembered not for following tradition, but for trusting their own voice, for daring to speak from within instead of quoting others. A man should learn to detect and watch that gleam of light which flashes across his mind from within, more than the luster of the firmament of bards and sages. Yet he dismisses without notice his thought, because it is his. Pay attention to your own insights. They may seem small compared to famous thinkers, but they're divine sparks. Don't ignore them just because they come from you. In every work of genius, we recognize our own rejected thoughts. They come back to us with a certain alienated majesty. When we encounter great art or writing, we often recognize ideas we once had and dismissed. Seeing them again, perfected by another, reminds us of our own ignored wisdom. Great works of art teach us to abide by our spontaneous impression with good-humored inflexibility, especially when the whole cry of voices is on the other side. Art teaches us to stand by our first authentic impressions calmly and confidently, even when everyone else disagrees. Else tomorrow, a stranger will say, with masterly good sense, precisely what we have thought and felt all the time, and we shall be forced to take with shame our own opinion from another. If you don't trust yourself, someone else will express your truth, and you'll regret not having said it first. Your own insight will return to you from another's mouth. 2. Trust thyself. There is a time in every man's education when he arrives at the conviction that envy is ignorance, that imitation is suicide, that he must take himself for better, for worse, as his portion, that though the wide universe is full of good, no kernel of nourishing corn can come to him, but through his toil, bestowed on that plot of ground which is given to him to till. Sooner or later, everyone realizes that comparing yourself to others is pointless and copying them destroys your originality. Your life is your field to cultivate. Only your own effort will bear real fruit. The power which resides in him is new in nature, and none but he knows what that is which he can do, nor does he know until he has tried. Each person carries a unique, creative force that has never existed before. You can't know its strength until you act and see what it can do. Not for nothing, one face, one character, one fact makes much impression on him, and another, none. This sculpture in the memory is not without pre-established harmony. The eye was placed where one ray should fall, that it might testify of that particular ray. The things that strike you deeply are not random. They match your inner design. Your perception itself is tuned to notice the truths meant for you. We but half express ourselves and are ashamed of that divine idea which each of us represents. It may be safely trusted as proportionate and of good issues, so it be faithfully imparted, but God will not have his work made manifest by cowards. We rarely express our full potential and often hide that divine spark within us. Trust that inner light. It was given for a reason, but it can't shine through fear or hesitation. A man is relieved and gay when he has put his heart into his work and done his best, but what he has said or done otherwise shall give him no peace. It is a deliverance which does not deliver. In the attempt his genius deserts him, no muse befriends, no invention, no hope. Joy comes only when you give your whole heart to what you do. Anything less leaves you restless and empty. Half-hearted effort silences inspiration itself. Trust thyself. Every heart vibrates to that iron string. Accept the place the divine providence has found for you, the society of your contemporaries, the connection of events. Trust yourself completely. There's a deep resonance in every heart that responds to self-trust. Accept where you are, the people around you, and the flow of life as meaningful parts of your path. Great men have always done so, and confided themselves childlike to the genius of their age, betraying their perception that the absolutely trustworthy was seated at their heart, working through their hands, predominating in all their being. The truly great have always trusted this inner guidance like a child trusts life itself. They knew the divine strength they sought was already living in them. And we are now men, and must accept in the highest mind the same transcendent destiny, and not minors and invalids in a protected corner, not cowards fleeing before a revolution, but guides, redeemers, and benefactors, obeying the almighty effort and advancing on chaos and the dark. We too must rise to that same destiny, no longer hiding or playing small, but acting as leaders and creators who move boldly with the universal force toward order and light. 3. The foolish consistency. Whoso would be a man must be a nonconformist. He who would gather immortal palms must not be hindered by the name of goodness, but must explore if it be goodness. Nothing is at last sacred but the integrity of your own mind. To truly live, you must dare to be different. Don't follow what others call good without testing it yourself. The only thing that's truly sacred is being honest with your own conscience. Absolve you to yourself, and you shall have the suffrage of the world. Forgive yourself and live in alignment with who you are. When you do, the respect of others naturally follows. I remember an answer which, when quite young, I was prompted to make to a valued advisor who was wont to importune me with the dear old doctrines of the Church. On my saying, "What have I to do with the sacredness of traditions if I live wholly from within?" my friend suggested, "But these impulses may be from below, not from above." I replied, "They do not seem to me to be such, but if I am the devil's child, I will live then from the devil." A young Emerson questioned a mentor who urged him to obey church tradition. He answered that if his inner impulses came from below, then so be it. He would still live by them. The lesson: trust your own inner voice above all external authorities. No law can be sacred to me but that of my nature. Good and bad are but names very readily transferable to that or this. The only right is what is after my constitution, the only wrong what is against it. No outer rule is more sacred than your own nature. What society calls good or bad changes constantly. The only true right or wrong is what aligns or conflicts with your deepest truth. What I must do is all that concerns me, not what the people think. This rule, equally arduous in actual and in intellectual life, may serve for the whole distinction between greatness and meanness. Focus on what you must do, not on others' opinions. This is difficult both in daily life and in thought, yet it marks the difference between greatness and mediocrity. It is the harder because you will always find those who think they know what is your duty better than you know it. It is easy in the world to live after the world's opinion. It is easy in solitude to live after our own. But the great man is he who in the midst of the crowd keeps with perfect sweetness the independence of solitude. People will always tell you what they think you should do. It's easy to follow the crowd and easy to follow yourself when alone. True greatness is staying inwardly free and kind-spirited even while standing among others. 4. Speak your truth. The other terror that scares us from self-trust is our consistency, a reverence for our past act or word because the eyes of others have no other data for computing our orbit than our past acts. Another thing that keeps us from trusting ourselves is our obsession with being consistent. We feel pressured to keep acting the same way because people judge us based on who we've been. But why should you keep your head over your shoulder? Why drag about this corpse of your memory, lest you contradict somewhat you have stated in this or that public place? Why keep looking backward? Why carry the dead weight of old opinions, afraid to contradict something you once said? Suppose you should contradict yourself. What then? It is foolish consistency that is the hobgoblin of little minds, adored by little statesmen and philosophers and divines. With consistency, a great soul has simply nothing to do. So what if you contradict yourself? Only small minds worship rigid consistency. Great souls grow, change, and evolve beyond old ideas. He may as well concern himself with his shadow on the wall. Speak what you think now in hard words, and tomorrow speak what tomorrow thinks in hard words again, though it contradict everything you said today. Worrying about always agreeing with yourself is as pointless as chasing your shadow. Say what you truly think today, and tomorrow say what you truly think then, even if it's completely different. Ah, so you shall be sure to be misunderstood. Is it so bad then to be misunderstood? Pythagoras was misunderstood, and Socrates, and Jesus, and Luther, and Copernicus, and Galileo, and Newton, and every pure and wise spirit that ever took flesh. Some will say, but then you'll be misunderstood. So what? Every great thinker and spiritual teacher in history was misunderstood. It's part of daring to speak truth. To be great is to be misunderstood. Being misunderstood is not a failure. It's a sign of greatness. 5. Society and solitude. Society everywhere is in conspiracy against the manhood of every one of its members. Society constantly pressures people to conform and give up their individuality. Society is a joint stock company in which the members agree, for the better securing of his bread to each shareholder, to surrender the liberty and culture of the eater. It operates like a business where everyone trades freedom for comfort and safety. In exchange for security, we give up originality. The virtue in most request is conformity. Self-reliance is its aversion. It loves not realities and creators, but names and customs. Society values fitting in above all else. It fears real independence and honors empty labels and traditions instead of genuine creativity. Whoso would be a man must be a nonconformist. Anyone who wants to live fully must refuse to conform. Nothing is at last sacred but the integrity of your own mind. The only truly sacred thing is being honest with your own thoughts and conscience. Live from within. You shall soon love what is necessary and beautiful, and cease to love what is vain and superficial. Live from your inner truth. When you do, you'll start to love what's real and essential, and lose interest in what's shallow or false. 6. Closing. A political victory, a rise of rents, the recovery of your sick, or the return of your absent friend, or some other favorable event raises your spirits, and you think good days are preparing for you. Do not believe it. When something good happens, a success, profit, healing, or reunion, your mood lifts, and you believe happiness is finally on its way. Don't be fooled by that feeling. Nothing can bring you peace but yourself. Nothing can bring you peace but the triumph of principles. Real peace doesn't come from outside events, it comes from within. True peace arises only when you live by your deepest values, not by circumstance.